Is there, do you have a feeling, do you feel like there's Elizabeth Warren specific advice coming from where you come from with the issues that you care about and the people who you have so much influence with because of the way you talk about these issues? Do you have a prescription for how the Democratic Party's primary should wrap up? Senator Sanders has a rally tonight in D.C. He's going to compete in the D.C. primary. He says he's going right through to the convention. We don't know exactly what that means, but he was talking tonight at this rally. He said, you know, when I am president, I'm going to use my executive authority. I mean, do you have a prescription for how this primary should end?
Look, I think that it's clear now that we need to start thinking about all of us together, and we need to think about the difference between us and the Republicans. That's for me what the heart of this is about. But you know, I want to add another part to this because I think it really matters here. And I like our talking back and forth, but I just want to be sure I get this on the table, get it on the table early. Hillary Clinton won, and she won because she's a fighter. She's out there. She's tough, and I think this is what we need. Look at who she is.
Hillary Clinton is what we need. This is Elizabeth Warren, Rachel Maddow, effectively telling Bernie Sanders to get out the race. Clinton won. The catch here is Warren was never going to be on Team Sanders. You had a lot of us, me included, who thought, well, she has to endorse Sanders. She's ideologically closest to him, so all things being equal, she would have to endorse Sanders. But Warren didn't endorse Sanders. The catch here is there was a secret deal going all the way back to 2013 where senators, including Elizabeth Warren, said that they will not run. Not to mention, they will give their fealty and allegiance to Hillary Clinton. And I'm using the term secret letter because ABC News literally uses the term in a secret letter. All the female Democratic senators signed a secret letter to Hillary Clinton early this year, encouraging her to run for president. A letter includes Elizabeth Warren. So, this scene with Rachel Maddow, where Elizabeth Warren and Maddow talks about how she waited until everything was settled and everything else, nonsense. Her support had already been given to Clinton. Listen to this for the moment. This was the Democratic debate last night.
I didn't say it. And I don't want to waste a whole lot of time on this because this is what Donald Trump and maybe some of the media want. Anybody knows me, knows that it's incomprehensible that I would think that a woman could not be president of the United States. Go to YouTube today. There's a video of me 30 years ago talking about how a woman could become president of the United States. In 2015, I deferred, in fact, to Senator Warren. There was a movement to draft Senator Warren to run for president. And you know what? I stayed back. Senator Warren decided not to run, and I did.
Now, what Sanders is talking about here, Warren campaign leaks information saying to CNN 2 days before the debate, knowing that it will be brought up in the debate, so Warren can make this argument about a woman can win in the election. She uses her friend as a prop in order to make this very specific argument, putting a knife in him, trying to make it look like he's vaguely sexist. And that the problem with women, the Bernie bro, all that stuff. She's feeding into that for her own political ambitions. She's been failing miserably in the polls, dropping 10, 15% in somebody, or 10, 12% in many of these polls. And because of such, she's desperate in this Hail Mary pass. The thing I want to focus on, though, is what Sanders just said. I went to Warren in 2015 and deferred to her. I would have preferred her to run, but since she didn't run, I decided to run. Again, in a secret letter to Hillary Clinton, Warren had already given her allegiance and already given her support to Clinton, making it clear that she wouldn't run. Meaning, Sanders going to her was going to her in vain. And whether or not she brought up the fact that she had this secret meeting with Clinton where she signed a letter saying I'll give my support or not is unclear, and whether or not that came up in the conversation. Between the two, my only point is Sanders went to her in vain in 2015. Here's the catch. Why did Warren go to Sanders in 2018? Nobody asked that. They just take it as, well, she went to him. He's a friend. But why? Why did she go to him with specifically talking about this stuff? Now, some people could say it was a strategy session. Yeah, in an overt sense, but certainly she had her reasons as to going. And that's what I want to talk about, because that seems to be the thing that people are ignoring or don't all that much care about. And I find that to be extremely interesting. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, please like, share, subscribe. You can always support PayPal, Patreon. This video will be blisteringly short, maybe one of my shortest, but I did want to point this out. Sanders goes to Warren in 2015. They try to get Warren to run. Warren refuses. She then turns around and backs Clinton. Warren in 2018 goes to Sanders. Now, this was reported by the New York Times, meaning it was reported early on. It's mysterious timing, and mysterious, I don't mean not mysterious at all. There was debate coming up. This was the issue she wanted to talk about. She used her friend in the private conversation with her quote-unquote friend as political opposition research to attack her friend, but to talk about the issue of women beating Trump and whether or not a woman could win. The key point, though, that I want to point out is she goes to Sanders in 2018 to have a conversation with him. Notice something that is also said. Sanders at one point in the Washington Post says, it would be ludicrous after me telling her to run in 2015 that I didn't think a woman could win. That's not what I said to her. But she goes to him in 2018. And there's this odd quirk that she asks him whether or not a woman could win. Why would you ask that question if you fervently believe that a woman could win? The only reason you would ask that question is you yourself had doubts. That is not something that the media brings up. They just bring up this notion that Sanders supposed, well, some media, it's CNN anyway, that Sanders went this route. It would be ludicrous for me to say that a woman couldn't win after trying to get her to run in 2015. It would be absurd. It wouldn't make sense. But the fact is, Warren is the one that asked that question. Why did she go to Sanders? Why? Is it a strategy session? Or did she go to Sanders to indicate to him, I will be running for president? Now, in the reporting, they said that nobody pushed the other person, nor did anybody try to stop the other person from running. But it became clear that Sanders knew that what she was talking about was her. Do you think a woman, when she's talking about her, he fully understood that she was talking about her? That entire meeting was to get across to him, I, Elizabeth Warren, is running for president. You tried to get me to run in 2015. I decided not to run. I had a deal with Clinton that I signed in blood. So I couldn't run in 2015, but now I am trying to get across to you in this meeting in 2018 that I, Elizabeth Warren, will be running for president. So you, Bernie Sanders, don't have to. Meaning the entire point of this meeting was essentially a rerun of the 2015 meeting, with the difference being Warren went to Sanders as opposed to Sanders going to Warren. Warren, in this case, was trying to make it clear, I am running in 2020, whether she used those words or not. It became clear. This was an indication to Sanders, I'm running, you don't have to. Meaning if everything is still true from 2015, if all of the rules are still exactly the same and you wanted me to run so you didn't have to, all right, I'm giving you the indication right now for 2018 that I'm doing that so you don't have to. Too late. Too late. Not only did you not support me, not only did you try to tell me to get out of the race, not only did you back Clinton, but there's a secondary factor that I built this. I built this. I'm the one who took the hits. I'm the one who created the space. I'm the one who decided to run in 2016 when you chose not to and signed your name in blood to back Clinton. And I can show you that video where Rachel Maddow, where you're saying all these things about Clinton, talking about, we need a new future and everything else, as if that woman was going to do that. I built this. I built this. That's his point. I am the one that created this space, the Medicare for all, the expansion of schools, the pulling back on these wars. I created this space, the wealth tax, the taxes on the rich, the antagonisms towards the billionaire class. I built this. And I built this at a time where they said this was impossible to do, that you couldn't run a race in this particular way, that the public wouldn't be on board for these items. I built this in the face of all sorts of criticism. I built this. And just like Sanders saying, I don't want Joe Biden to take it, or at the very least getting across behind the scenes, I don't want Joe Biden to take it because I built it, the same thing would remain true for Elizabeth Warren also. I tried to get you to run, you didn't run. I created a movement, a political revolution. I created all, I was the one that took the hit in order to make this work. I want to bring it to conclusion. So he runs. Now, this video is very specific because I have another video that I want to talk about this, so I don't want this one to be long. I just want to make the very particular point, though. Warren's meeting with him, most likely, at least I strongly suspect, nobody ever asked this question. Did you go to him almost as a rerun of 2015 because you wanted to get across to him that you were running and so that he didn't have to? I think that's where this meets. I think that's what this is. McCoy Williams, every time you say the vid would be short, I know to prepare for a 10-minute vid. Too funny, keep up the good work. Well, by short, I do mean a 10-minute video. I do mean a 10-minute video. Cool Blue 71. People wanted Warren to run in 2016. Yep. Sad. No. Waited for the primaries to end. Endorsed Hillary Clinton. Spin general election out. Tweeting Trump on Twitter. Ignored DAPL protests. Runs in 2020. Says she wants Medicare for all. Backs off. Not a leader. I would even go so far as to say disingenuous or dishonest. Look, if Warren is a creature of the Democratic Party, that should be clear. On DAPL, Standing Rock, Native Americans are getting their arms blown off. Warren, who aped that culture, pretended to be a Native American for 30, 40 years, what I strongly suspect for some level of advantage, does not come out to back the group that she aped. Yes, I want to get the benefits and the privileges potentially as being a white woman pretending to be Native American, but when real Native Americans are getting their heads bashed in, I don't come out. Why? Because the Obama administration at that point hadn't come out. Obama, I'm going to let it play out. Warren only came out after Obama came out. I point to this letter again. My point here is Warren is a creature of the Democratic Party. She is. She's a team player in this sense. And if she's indeed a creature of the Democratic Party, your notion of change and big structural change and everything like that, that's out the window. She has been flagrantly dishonest in this campaign and in the way she's run this campaign. She's pretended to be Bernie Sanders this entire time, taking on and advocating positions that she has no track record or history advocating. I believe her with the wealth tax. I believe that she hates Wall Street and will go after Wall Street. The rest, no. No, I don't know who the real Elizabeth Warren is in this race because she's pretended to be a Jewish man, a Jewish septuagenarian, using her skills that she's finely tuned and crafted, pretending to be a Native American, to pretend to be Bernie Sanders with a vagina. Well, she's not Bernie Sanders with a vagina. She's not like Bernie Sanders at all. Yes, the wealth tax, but beyond that point, pretending that the only thing that's required to be a lefty is that you're hard on Wall Street, I think is a folly. Yes, the public doesn't necessarily get a good notion of lefties, and so the moment that they see somebody who's antagonistic to Wall Street or into this notion of a wealth tax and everything else, they just take that person's a lefty, missing the point that there are other attributes. What's the foreign policy? What's the notion of healthcare? It's not just one thing. It's not just one thing. She didn't want Sanders to run. That's what this meeting was about. Like, share, subscribe. I'll be right back.